and these ancient spiritual traditions, and so they're not looking for it through the one true God, and so they have this voodoo worship heritage that is a big part of their culture, which just compounds the issues in Haiti. So when you go to Haiti, you're going to see a lot of things that are disturbing to you. A kind of poverty, a kind of ache that the people have, a kind of searching and even despair. I remember my first trip to Haiti, going down the streets of Port-au-Prince and then going into City Soleil, which is the slum area of Port-au-Prince, some of the poorest place in the entire world. And I remember the tears and just thinking, first of all, like, how in the world did I get here? What am I doing here? And what are we going to do about this? Some of you that have been to Haiti, you kind of know that feeling like, wow. So you see a lot of that when you go to Haiti. But there are signs of hope all around. And that is unbelievably encouraging and inspiring. So you see the despair and the pain and the struggle, but you also see signs of hope. Who is Hope for Haiti's Children? You see these signs of hope in the faces of the people that are on the screen right now. This is the HFHC Haitian team. There's over 200 people that are on our team in Haiti, and you have Sonia Toussaint, who is our director. You have Samuel Sentofat, who is our financial director. You have a transportation director. So you have sort of our key, what we call our NGO officers, or non-government organization officers. And then we have our principals, our teachers, our nurses, our spiritual directors. And we like to say about our Haiti team that these are the heroes. These are the boots on the ground, if you will, of the work. So despite the many struggles that Haiti faces on a daily basis, these folks very courageously, in a very committed way, continue to do the work. And so we lock arms with these folks that you see on the screen. These are dedicated Christians that care deeply about the mission. Then, of course, we have the U.S. staff and board. About 15 of us that are on staff, both full-time and part-time. And then we have a 9-member board as well. The board is made up of members of the Churches of Christ all across the country. I'm not going to list all the places: Dallas, Houston, North Carolina, Nashville, Cincinnati. But we have the staff and board as well, and we lock arms in doing this work. And then we have our 2,800 individual donors, and you are part of that. These are people who sponsor children, for instance, and just they get it, right? And so they step up to do the work. 78 congregations across the United States step up to give. Echo Meadows obviously included in that, giving approximately $2,100 a year just out of the church budget for missions to continue this work. And then, of course, you got foundations and schools and businesses. And so what you see is that teamwork makes the dream work. And so how can we operate these 10 schools in Haiti? And I'll say more about these schools here in a moment. But how do you make this work? How do you infuse this hope into Haiti? Well, it's what you see on the screen there. It's people like you who step up to do the work. What does Hope for Haiti's Children do? Let's go ahead. We got a video here, and let's see if it plays. I think Bill's going to have to start it. So I'm not going to press a button here. Yep. All right. Well. All right, there's no sound. Let's not, or if there's no sound, that's not. We don't need to watch it. I can walk us through that. Hey, let's go on the next slide there. Let's go on to the next slide, Bill, or whoever's back there. All right, so what that video was about is what you see here on the screen. The question we're thinking about right now is, what does Hope for Haiti's Children do? This is our what we call our Project Hope framework. And in it, you see 5 different components: Christian education, food and water, healthcare, orphan care, and spiritual training. Spiritual training on purpose is in the middle because Christ, as we say often, Christ is in the center of everything that we do. But just for a minute, I want to kind of take us around this wheel, if you will, and just highlight a couple things. Again, we're thinking about, what does Hope for Haiti's Children do? Christian education, it's at the top. It really drives our work. It is a focal point for our work. And so as I've mentioned, we got these 10 schools, 4,000 students across these 10 schools, and these children are learning, just like going to school here, they're learning math and reading and science, and now technologies. We've put computer labs in our schools. And so they are learning from committed Christian teachers. So they have these wonderful mentors in their life. Again, less than half of the children in Haiti make it to the 6th grade. And so we're meeting a need for Haiti and providing Christian education for them. Our schools are outstanding. I'm not just saying that because I work for Hope for Haiti's Children. Next week, or about 2 weeks from now, the children will be taking their exams. There's 2 really important. It's a French education system. Won't go into all the details on that, but they take 9th grade exams, and then they take these 13th grade exams. In the past, and I don't have the graphic here on the screen for you all, but our students have about a 90-95% pass rate on their exams. That's all of our students, but a 90-95% pass rate. What happens in the French system is that they have to pass these exams to move on. And so you can't move from 9th grade into 10th grade unless you pass this exam. Our students are at the top. The national average is down in the 80% range. Our students over 90% pass that exam and go on. So they are doing very well in school. We now have a spiritual director in each one of our schools. And so they're kind of like chaplains. They're teaching the Bible classes. So each school day, every child, not only doing math and science and reading, but they're also getting a good Bible education in school. By the way, I could say more about this in spiritual training, but by the way, each one of our schools, there's also a Church of Christ that meets on the property. So again, it's not only about just receiving an education in the sense of these skills that are going to help them in the workforce, but most importantly, they're receiving a biblical education as they're at school. 10 schools, 4,000 students. Food and water, saying in Haiti that a hungry child cannot hear. And so every school day, every single student receives a hot, nutritious lunch and clean water. So we have water catchment systems, we have water purification systems at each one of our schools. They're expensive to operate, but it's important because it's one of our values that every school day students are going to receive a nutritious meal and clean water. Now, think about this. Our kids show up for school. They're not missing school a whole lot. Why do you think that is? Mom and Daddy are ensuring that these kids show up because they're getting a meal. They're getting fed. And so this helps with school attendance, that every day the kids are getting good, healthy food and clean water. In the last year, 4,000 children fed each month. I've mentioned over 700,000, or almost 700,000 meals, and then 2,363 children fed during the summer months. And that will be, their school year is ending, like I said, kind of as we speak. In the next couple of weeks, they'll be wrapping up school. And then what we do during the summer, you all, if you're on our email list, you receive word about this. During the summer, we invite the children back on Fridays, do a vacation Bible school program, and feed them a warm, nutritious meal. And so on these Fridays during the summer months, these children show up again because they are fed during that time. Food is very expensive in Haiti. I mean, it's expensive here. Y'all been to Chick-fil-A lately, right? It's like, my goodness. It's like $50 for a family to eat at Chick-fil-A. Food is expensive down there too, rice and beans. And so we didn't have the money, HFAC, we didn't have the money to do this summer lunch program this year. This is something that we do like kind of extra. It's something we hope we can do. And so we did a campaign over the last few weeks, and we needed about $35,000 to run this program during the summer. So we sent out an email and just said, hey, we have a need. And people, I mean, as usual, they showed up. You saw God at work through his people, and we're able to do that summer lunch program. Again, that will start in a couple weeks, and it will run for 9 weeks. That's what our plan is for the summer lunch program. Those kids can show up, and we have principals and teachers that will be coming on Fridays during the summer. They'll be doing this Vacation Bible School program with them, teaching about God's Word and feeding these children. So it's a big deal. With healthcare, we now have nurses' offices at our schools. We've got a nurse dedicated to each school, and they're not just helping out as kids are sick or needing care, but they're also teaching hygiene courses. They're partnering with the teachers to ensure that the kids understand how important good health is. We have a doctor, Dr. Versailles. The nurses can, if there's something serious that's going on, the nurses can call the doctor can come and provide care for the children. They're providing medication for the children. And so as we think about holistic care for these children, it's not just about the education, it's not just about food and water, but also health care as well. And so you can see some children here receiving some medication they need, glasses, so you got vision, hearing, the whole 9 yards for these children. They also every year go to what we call our annual medical clinic. Some from the Echo Meadows Church have been to these medical clinics. So every year the children come and they receive these important medical checks. It's also an opportunity for us to just check on the children, see how their progress is. It's where we get letters that we ultimately send to the sponsors. You all should have been, just in the last week or so, you should have gotten your letters from your sponsored children. We get those through the medical clinics. It's very important. It used to be, this is kind of cool. I think this is just, you see how God works. So it used to be, there'd be a bunch of nurses and doctors and people who were just willing to help that would go down from the United States and do these medical clinics each year. They'd always go in February. Well, things just got so challenging down there that those clinics, that traveling, those team, it just stopped. It stopped about 2019. It just stopped. Maybe 2020. Those trips stopped. We're thinking, what are we going to do? Those medical clinics are so vital to the work. And talking to a director down there, Sonia Toussaint, she's like, hey, it's going to be okay. We got this. And so she put together a team of nurses and doctors. And so now, every year, the annual clinic still happens, but it's facilitated 100% by Haitian nurses and doctors. Provides work for them, gives them an opportunity to connect with the children in that way. It saves a lot of money because it's very expensive for Americans to travel down there. There's some losses that go with that as well, but it puts the onus, it puts it all on the Haitians to do that work. It used to be there was clinics that would just happen at one location, maybe two. Now it's this sort of traveling brigade of nurses and doctors that hit all of the schools. And so it's really pretty amazing that something we thought a weakness, what are we going to do, has actually turned into a strength because it's 100% Haitian run. With orphan care, we have 48 children that are in our Kazoo orphanage. This is their family. And so it's a loving Christian family that they have there. And something that is beneficial for these orphans is that not only are they receiving a good education, as I've mentioned for all of the other students, but they are also receiving vocational training there as well. They're learning about agriculture, gardening skills. There's a computer lab there, so information technology. There's a sewing room, so they're learning how to tailor, solar technology. It's all right there at the orphanage. And so these children, again, not only just receiving this really solid education, but they're learning these life skills that they can apply later on. Flabe Fide is one of these children who has been blessed by not only the school but also the vocational training that she has received. You can see her growing up there from 2006 to 2013, continuing on. And now if you look at that picture from 2025, she was one, again, super blessed to be able to go to the school, receive a training for becoming a nurse. And now she is a nurse at our Tomazo Christian school, and she's outstanding in this work, communicates well, caring, loves the children. And as you can see back here, started as just a little girl with our schools and has grown up. Now she is working with us, and we are proud of her. And there's these kind of impact stories. There are hundreds and hundreds of them, but I did want to highlight Flabe for you today. And then spiritual training right there in the center. And this is about teaching about God, learning the Bible, learning it all the way from Genesis through Revelation, learning how much God loves them and that God has a purpose for their life regardless of the challenges in Haiti, that God has a purpose for their life and they're to shine in a bright way in that very dark country, and our children are absolutely doing that. So just like our kids are going to camp this week in August, it's the teenagers, the high school students in our schools will be going to camp as well. Camp Hope. Over the last 6 years at Camp Hope, for all of our high school students, over 200 children have been baptized into Christ. And so I think last year was 36 children were baptized into Christ. And so again, you just see how God works in such a powerful way, drawing these children to Him, because that's what we ultimately want. That's the source of hope, right? It is God. And so these camps, again, I went down and ran a camp. These camps are now fully Haitian run, and that's what we want. That's good mission work when it's being done by the locals down there. And so we partner with them in this work for sure. We help them financially with this work, but no Americans are going down there and operating these camps. These are ran by the Haitians. We're very, very proud of them. Jacob Luisius is one of them. He's a youth minister at the Kazoo church and school there. And he could come. Just to kind of put it in context, NWOCY, so he would just rock it, if he were here doing it. Just absolutely amazing. Loves the work, loves the children. All right, really quickly, when did Hope for Haiti's Children start doing what they did? So you probably heard a lot about this, that last year we celebrated 30 years. So it started in 1995 by Ken and Rhonda Beaver, and the work continues. It was just a handful of kids at first, and they asked the Haitians down there, okay, what do y'all need? They said, we need these children to be educated. They need to be in school, but school is expensive. It's not very accessible. And so they started a sponsorship program up in Connecticut at the time for just a handful of kids, about 10 children. And now it's grown to, again, 4,000 students in these schools. Currently, 2,400 of them are sponsored. So you see all of this. Like I said, I wanted to take you down to Haiti for just a little bit. And you might be asking the question, is there any hope for Haiti? It's so different than the United States. Gang violence, food insecurity, darkness. Is there any hope for Haiti? Why does Hope for Haiti's Children do what they do? I like to think about a story from Mark chapter 1 when it comes to the work that we do. And I'll share this quickly. And a leper came to him, to Jesus, imploring him, kneeling and said, "If you will, you can make me clean." Moved with pity, this is about Jesus, moved with pity, he stretched out his hand and he touched him and he said, "I will be clean." And immediately the leprosy left him and he was made clean. So there's a lot we could say about this leper, physical pain, certainly emotional pain. There's so much that we could say about this leper. But Jesus, we're told, he was moved with pity. Now that word there, moved with pity, it's a Greek word. Does anybody here know Greek? Oh, only one. Okay, I was going to say, so I'll just pronounce it however, and you all won't know anyways. But I think it's, Dan, you can help me out. The splachnistheus. Splachnistheus. Close enough. Okay, good. Splachnistheus. And that's the sense of splachna has to do with guts and bowels. And so when it says that Jesus was moved with pity, they use the word splachnistheus. It's that something was happening down his gut. He was feeling something deeply. Okay? We're told from this Bible dictionary that splachnistheus means having been moved with compassion. Now, you start thinking about the word and studying the word compassion and this Greek word splachnistheus. And what you learn is there is feeling something deep down, feeling something in your belly, maybe even moving you to tears, but it's only compassion. As you study this, it's only compassion when it's coupled with some sort of action. Okay, so I made this little equation that you could see on the screen there. Compassion is feeling something deeply, like, maybe we use the word gut-wrenching, but then it's coupling it with doing something about it. That's compassion. And so we got to thinking a little bit more about Haiti, and as I've mentioned already multiple times today, this sense of despair and darkness. And you see it, it's like compassion, deeply moved, plus action, just like we saw with Jesus, with that leper. When that happens, then you see hope emerge. The leper was hopeless until Jesus, deeply moved, action. Jesus shows compassion, and it changes the leper's life. And so, as we think about Haiti, and I've kind of shared this morning about it, Hope for Haiti's Children, really what we're doing is we are generating hope in Haiti through compassion, through the compassion of you all, those 2,800 donors that I mentioned, those foundations and businesses, those 78 churches. And you can see there on the mission, I'm not going to read that to you here, you can see it on the screen, but ultimately it's about showing compassion so that children in Haiti can ultimately become leaders in their homes, in their churches, their communities, and who knows, maybe out of HFHC's schools, the next president will arise in Haiti and bring about change. There's some impact numbers. Try to keep those as up to date as possible. So how can you help? You already are. Joy Box season is about to be upon us. By the way, I don't know if Whitney is here, but I appreciate her work with the Joy Boxes. That is a way to show compassion because you're changing the lives of those kids at Christmas time. Kids that would not receive anything. I promise you would not receive anything for Christmas. Get to open up those Joy Boxes and receive gifts and receive love from those who care. Sponsoring children. I did bring some children with me today if you're interested in sponsoring. The Echo Meadows Church, and I think this is great for the size of this congregation, 31 children are sponsored from this congregation. That is amazing. If you're not part of that 31 and are interested in that, like I said, I brought some children after the service today. Come see me, and I could share with you how you can get on board in sponsoring a child. It makes a big deal. It's for their education, school supplies, school uniform, gifts, and health care. And so sponsorship is huge for us. So we operate all of these schools, and I'll just be very transparent with you. So our annual budget is about $4 million. And out of that $4 million, sponsorship covers about $1.2 million. So there's quite a gap there. And so through those 78 churches and those 2,800 individuals, that's how we close that gap. That's how we are able to operate in Haiti. And so that's how it works. We have something new too that I want to share as I close, and that is what we are calling our lunch club. As I said, food is very expensive in Haiti, and so we have started a way just to allow people, to invite people to help support by way of food. It's just $10 a month, and so we wanted to put it at a level that we felt like everyone could afford, from the youngest to the oldest, $10 a month. And what $10 a month does, which is I think really great, is takes care of 20 meals for a month. So basically that's each school day for a child. So through participation in the lunch club, you're ensuring that a child will be fed for each school day for the month. So I have information about that as well. You can find me after the assembly today, and I'd be glad to share how you can get on board with that. And thank you again for your participation in the Joy Boxes. That season is upon us, and that is always bringing so much hope to the children as you act compassionately toward them. And I want to finish with this passage as we think about compassion generating hope. I want to leave you with this thought. Romans 5:8. But God demonstrates his own love for us while we were still sinners. Christ died for us. And so I say compassion generates hope. Think about the compassion that God has had for each one of us when we were at our lowest, not when we were cleaned up and perfect, but God showed his compassion to us while we were still sinners, right? And it's because of what God has done for us through Jesus that we can have hope, eternal life that ultimately will change us forever. So thank you so much for listening today, and most importantly, thanks for continuing to step up to ultimately give hope to Haiti. Paula, how are you? Turn this thing off.